Have you ever been lashing a client and this one client, you just can't make the extension connect to the natural lash? It's like repelling, or it just won't connect. Maybe it slips around the natural lash. If that's ever happened to you, it's likely because your client has low porosity natural lashes, which is exactly what we're gonna be covering in today's tutorial. I'm gonna show you how to get amazing retention and application even when your client has low porosity naturals. To run you through the flow of how today's video is gonna go, I'm gonna firstly dive into what lash porosity is and how to identify it on your client and know whether they have high or low lash porosity. I'm also gonna dive into how lash porosity can affect retention and application, and then give you my tried and true tips and tricks on how you can have the best success, retention, and application-wise for clients who have low porosity. Let's get into it. First up, what is lash porosity? Let's define it. When we talk about lash porosity, we're speaking on how resistant a natural lash is to absorbing moisture, aka lash glue. Our goal as lash artists is to do our best to make the lash extensions last. Of course, in order to do this, we need to make sure our lash extensions connect effortlessly, which is extremely hard when we have a client who has very low porosity with their natural lashes. I actually have Anna here today, and she has very low porosity natural lashes. What this means is her naturals are very thick, wiry, and very shiny. Shiny is definitely the way to tell that a client's natural lashes lack in porosity. So what that means is her lashes are so strong and the cuticle is so tightly closed that the glue is gonna have a really hard time connecting inside of the cuticle to really wrap itself in there and last for as long as possible. That's why when clients have really thick or oily or shiny natural lashes, when we're trying to place our extensions, it may slip around or it just doesn't have that magnetic connection we're looking for. So we need to treat these kind of clients just a little differently. So here's how I would be able to tell that Anna has low porosity natural lashes. On the note of porosity as a whole, if you'd like a video highlighting all the different types of porosity and how you can tell depending on the client's natural lashes, please let me know and I'll make an additional video. In the meantime, let's identify why I know her natural lashes are very low in porosity. So when I look closely and I move the lid around, the lashes shine. They literally glisten, which tells me that shine has a very strong coating on it, and this client is definitely someone I want to take precautionary measures with when it comes to pre-service prep. See that shine? Also, if I take my tweezers and I bend the natural lashes, I'm willing to bet, because her natural lashes are so strong and healthy, that if I bend her natural lashes, they're just gonna bounce right back immediately. They have resistance. They won't stay where I put them. These strong natural lashes are amazing because you can really push it weight-wise when it comes to lashing them, but they can be really tricky to lash, especially as a beginner lash artist. So how do we prep this client to have the best success when it comes to application and retention is the real question. So it all comes down to our pre-service prep. To start, priming is going to be really, really important. I've been seeing a lot of people talk lately about how they no longer prime their clients' natural lashes. I totally understand this and stand behind that sentiment when it comes to clients who have very high porosity, meaning that their natural lashes have the ability to effortlessly absorb glue. But for clients who have very sheen, low porosity lashes, we need to open the cuticle so the glue can actually penetrate inside. The only way to do that is to use a proper primer. So today I'm gonna be using Band-Aid primer. It looks like this. For those of you who think primer is just too drying for the natural lashes, you are probably not using a high quality primer. You want a primer that opens the cuticle but doesn't overly dry out the natural lashes, and that is why I'm choosing Band-Aid primer today. So primer is a must for these clients, so I'm gonna start with that. In order to prime, I just coat a lint-free applicator in primer, and then to avoid getting it in my client's eyes, because we've all had that happen at some point and it's not the go, just transfer some of that product onto an additional lint-free applicator or micro swab. Now, I'm gonna really coat the natural lashes in primer, placing one micro swab applicator or lint-free applicator beneath the client's natural lashes and the other on top to really work the product in. We're really trying to roughen up that cuticle, so we open it up a little bit so it welcomes the glue much more. And once I know my lint-free applicators are no longer overly saturated, I'm gonna then work the rest of the product into the base of the natural lashes even more. I'll then move on to the other eye and do the exact same thing. Now, I'm gonna let that dry for just a minute or two. You can use your fan to dry the product. And then you're going to follow that by using Super Bonder. So often what I will do for clients who have high porosity is I will just use Super Bonder for my primer. Reason being is because it not only opens the cuticle just a little, but it also has curing properties. So I'm really creating that magnetic light connection. So my primer that I just put on the natural lashes, that's now done its job of swelling the cuticle and opening it up for me to lash. But Super Bonder is gonna help me get a magnetic connection, so I do not want to skip this step. It's gonna speed up my lash services so much and help me get instant connection. So to use Super Bonder, you're gonna follow the exact same steps you did for the Bond-Aid primer. Now, Super Bonder comes in a bit of a different bottle because we actually also offer this to our clients as an aftercare product so that they get the most amazing retention. They can apply this onto their lash line every day to re-cure the lashes and help them last longer. So I'm gonna take my dropper and drop just a little tiny bit of Super Bonder on a lint-free applicator. Basically the exact same thing I do for the primer. And I'm gonna repeat that after I've done my pre-service prime. Again, just work that into the natural lashes, making sure we don't get any in our client's eyes. So for most clients, this is just fine and you'll be able to get through the service no sweat, and your application should be pretty effortless. However, if your clients seem to have extremely stubborn natural lashes, you can actually take 2 popsicle sticks using very much the same technique I used for the lint-free applicators and just sandwich the natural lashes with 2 popsicle sticks and just work across the eye using that technique. I know that sounds crazy, but what you're doing is just gently ruffling up the cuticle so that the lash extensions will connect even better. And then my last tip is when it comes to Super Bonder, this product can absolutely be used mid-service as well. So let's say for the first hour when you're lashing, it's totally fine. The lashes are applying perfectly. And then about an hour in, you notice that they start becoming more resistant to application again. You can absolutely go in and reapply this product. All it's gonna do to the lashes that have already been placed is just cure the bond. So there's absolutely no risk in doing so. The only suggestion I have is if you do that, just make sure you dry the product for a minute or two before continuing to lash, because when the product is still wet, your glue might cure a little bit too fast, aka you might end up shock curing your lashes if the product is still wet, which means that your retention rate may be weakened, at least for the few lashes that you've placed while you're waiting for the product to dry. Okay guys, I'm about to get into the actual lashing process, so I'm gonna let you go, but if you have any questions about lashing techniques just like this one, please do comment it in the comments below. I want to make videos that you want to see, so please let me know if there's any tutorials you'd like us to cover. See you in the next one.